Okay, next we're going to be talking specifically about working with type in Photoshop. And before we were working with the word dreams in this particular example. And once you apply an effect to a word, you can actually just go in and retype a new word, and you will actually uh, keep the same effect that you had on the on that type previously. And one of the things to keep in mind is that you also have what's called a character dialog box. And if you're in Mac, if you want to hit Command T, that will bring up what we call the character dialog box. And it's here that you can then signify the type font that you want to use, the weight of that font. Many times a type font will have what we call different weights to it. It will have a bold, it will have a medium, it will have a regular, it will have a book. Sometimes it will have a light version of that font. And so you have that capability here to change that. You also have the capability of changing what we call the point size. Type is specified in points, and that's something that's been around for a long time. You can specify it in points, and so you can see here I have that type selected, and so if I go right here, I can either increase or decrease the size of that font. And so in this case, I'm going to go a little smaller, and as you can see here, I have a drop-down menu, and it will give me a preset list of certain point sizes. And of course, you want to use a point size that is appropriate for the image that you're working on. And again, whenever you work with type, it is creating a certain layer for that. And let me bring that layer palette out here. As you can see here, it has the word sleep. And in this case, I indicated a couple of effects with that, the bevel and emboss and the gradient layer. So anyway, you always want to make sure that you have that layer, again, that layer selected when you are working on that, because otherwise when you begin to type, it's going to create a new layer. And again, when you type in Photoshop, you want to click the type toolbox, or the type tool in the toolbox, and then you're going to click on the document. As you can see here, over here, it created a new layer for that that type I'm going to type in here. So I'm going to word the word type, and you see here, it will. Let me click off of that. It will actually give you the word type. But again, if you mistakenly do that, all you have to do is click on that layer and drag that down to the trash icon at the bottom of the layers palette. Again, going back to the character or the type dialog box, the character dialog box. Again, you have other different functionalities to the type that you're working on. You can give it different effects. And here, if you wanted to add more space between the lettering, for example, you can go in here. It will give you less space. It will also give you more space. If I add more space, as you can see here, it's going to increase the amount of space in between the type. That's one thing you can do. If you want to make the type even spread out more, where it looks like it's extended, what I will do, I'm going to right now it's at 100%. I'm going to put in 200%, and you can see it really stretches out. Again, maybe not appropriate to this image, but you have that capability, and you can change that at any time. You're not ever really locked into ever locked into one certain thing when you work with your images. You can always go back and change those things. So you have that, again, you have that capability. Let's look here. We also have what we call, if you're going to create a paragraph of type, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do in this case. I'm going to take off the effect. You see, I just unclicked. I went down to the layers palette and I unclicked the eyeball right next to those effects, and that took off the effects. And so in this case, I'm going to make this type a lot smaller. I'm going to go down to like 12, what I call 12-point type. Not 10, I'm going to go down to 10. And I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to go down to 0. I'm going to make a regular just regular type I would have. And so if I want to go in and create some additional text, then I just type in what I need. And in this case, I'm going to type in Photoshop is a wonderful program to use to create and manipulate images. Okay, just got to learn to type correctly. And so you see here, it is already, this type is already, excuse me, is already in what we call a center mode. And so you can actually change that. And when you want to change something on your type layer, you're going to make sure it's selected, all your types selected in this case. And as you can see, you can change different things. You can actually make your type bolder if you want to. You can make it italic. You can make it all caps if you need to. You can make it what we call in this case, a superscript, which doesn't really apply in this case, or a subscript. You can have an underline, and you can just go back and undo all those different effects and go back just to your regular type. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make this type just a little bit smaller. I'm going to say at 8 point. And when you're working with type, you have the capability of changing what we call I'm going to eliminate that layer. I accidentally typed on that and created another type layer, so I didn't want that, so I got rid of it. But when you're working with type, you have what is called leading. It's actually the line spacing. And so if you, in this case, I'm going to select all this type. And you see right now, I have 8-point type, which is the size of the type, and I also have what's called 12-point leading or line spacing. And I can change that very easily. In fact, I just go down here, I'm going to say 10-point leading. As you can see, that makes the lines closer together. And so this, again, is a capability that you have in working with Photoshop.